Hello, welcome to the Matchbook Racing Review, where Donn, McClean and I, as ever at the start of a week, are going to be reviewing what was an excellent weekend of racing. Although we're a little bit later, Donn, this time, because, of course, Easter, which has thrown everything into confusion this year, because we had a quick fire Greenham before a Craven. The jump stuff is all out of kilter. Fairyhouse was later, but we're going to talk about Fairyhouse in the main because we waited for the Irish National to get done and dusted before doing this. And it was a great result for Willie Mullins. He's ticking all those boxes, isn't he? And he did so with Borough Saint here.
He did, yeah. For his first Shetland Gold Cup, the first Irish Grand National. Don't think he's got too many firsts to achieve now. No, it was great. There was some atmosphere actually for the whole weekend. Well, racing again today, but Sunday and Monday, the weather was great. The atmosphere was brilliant. There were, the attendances were they just created a real buzz. And before the Irish National yesterday, there was just a real buzz about the place. And yeah, look, Borough Saint when he won at Limerick, Willie said that the Irish National was definitely, it was a possibility. He didn't confirm him for that. He kind of said, he wondered about his experience for an Irish National, but there was no sign of a lack of experience yesterday. He was very, very good. Ruby, as the Ruby Crouch, he was in that position very early on in the race, just, popping away, nice and relaxed, as efficiently as possible, expending not much energy. Whispering the Breeze went clear around the bottom bend and set up a fair lead, but Ruby just didn't move, just allowed his horse creep into it. And in fairness, Isle of Hope and Dreams, he's 12 now. Like, he finished second last year, second again this year. He stayed on really well, and it looked going to the last as if he might mount a challenge, and he did. He was only beaten about 2 lengths in the end. But now Borough Saint, he's only 6. He was up £7 for his Limerick win. He can probably, obviously he's going to get a fair hike for this now. Again, Ruby was talking about next year, maybe the Aintree Grand National, but for yesterday's achievement to go and win an Irish, it's a massive prize. It's a massive prize money. And Willie had never done it, so that there was, it was a landmark day. And he had the 1, 2, 3, just to make sure that he got the winner. He said it was easier to watch it go to the last.
He had the 1, 2, 3, 5 as well.
Yeah.
On a wider point, actually, I just want to touch on that and get your view on this as an Irishman, with regard to the competition in the race, because there were only 3 horses that ran yesterday in the Irish National who weren't either represented by Gigginstown, by JP McManus, Gordon Elliott, or Willie Mullins.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything negative in that? Is that a sign of the superpowers as far as the yards or ownership go over there, or does that not concern you in any way?
It doesn't really, Tom. I mean, they're the best horses. You want the best horses running in the best races. Now the level of competition in the Irish Grand National, similar, I suppose, the way the Aintree National has gone, it's a struggle to get into it. To get a horse who's rated highly enough to get into it, that's an achievement, and that's as it should be. It should be for the best horses. The Gigginstown horse, I know they've got different coloured caps, and it was a sight to see all the jockeys coming into the parade ring yesterday with all the different coloured caps on. It's not ideal for commentators. But they're all there to run on their own. They're all there to try and win the race. There's nothing that people don't know about these horses. They're all horses who are handicappers, and they are as they are. And they're the horses who deserve to take the chance in the race. And the fact that it's probably not ideal that they all have the same colours in a sense. And you can ideally, like the likes of Liam Cusack that having Snugsbury Benny in the race. He had a. There were lots of people rooting for him for that reason, because he wasn't representing one of the superpowers. But they've got to where they are by achievement and by grafting, and I think they deserve to run in the race.
With regard to the winner, and it was great as well. I know we're talking about superpowers as far as owners goes. I think there is an element now. People have come full circle with Rich Ritchie and the debacle that went on a few months ago with regard to the company that he was, well, not technically in charge of, but as far as our view goes, the racing representative of. And I think given subsequent events and given his quite open interviews, certainly on Racing TV at Cheltenham, I think there was a sense of in the main people being happy for him winning a race like that. We got it with Minute at Aintree as well. And ultimately he's in this game because he wants to have excellent horses and he wants to have winners, and he loves this game and has been a great supporter of it. And I got the impression that there was people were happy for him effectively off the back of that win yesterday.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and he's put so much into it. Like it's it's as we all know, it's not a game like racehorse ownership. It's not a ticket to riches. It's the opposite. It's a ticket to poorness. Owners who have horses in training, it's costing them money. They're not. It's not a net gain to have horses in training. Rich Richie has put so much money into the game. He probably doesn't have as money or as many horses in training now as he had. His colours are not as ubiquitous as they were, but as you say, he invests money in the game. He wants to have success, and it was, I suppose the main feeling was for Willie Mullins for sure. His first Irish Grand National, Ruby's third, and for Rich Richie as well. No, it was all positive yesterday, and plenty of people backed him, which I suppose helped.
Well, yeah, exactly. That helps as well, doesn't it? And as far as Rich Richie goes, I mean, what he has had in the last few years is some severely bad luck, and so it's great that just gets put to one side for a second, and he enjoys a winner on a big stage. And the same for Graham Wiley as well over the weekend. He has had some horrendous luck, certainly at the big British festivals between Cheltenham and Aintree, and it was great to see him win the novice chase. I thought I'm not sure how good the form is going to be. I'm not sure it's going to turn up an album photo, a subsequent Gold Cup winner necessarily in the form of Wadareb, but it was good to see him having a winner.
No, it was, and he's a horse. He's had a performance like that in him. Like, and he won the Cranstown Chase early in the season. I was kind of thinking he might be an Arkle horse. Then he got beaten by Le Richebourg a couple of times, not by far. And I think Willie was saying that all the jockeys who rode him said that he'd be better over 2.5, and we never got to see that at Cheltenham in the JLT chase. He unseated Ruby at the third last fence when he kind of went under the radar a little bit, didn't he? Like, and looking back on that race, he actually wasn't travelling badly. He might have been involved in the race, and they put Real Steel in as favourite in front of him for the Ryanair Gold Cup on Sunday. But no, he was very good, and he's settling better in his races now than he used to. He's a little bit more tractable. He used to be a bit of a tearaway off in front, which is why I definitely thought he was a 2-miler. But he's getting 2.5. Well, he had one over 2.5 over hurdles actually. So he gets the trip, and I hear what you're saying. And maybe it wasn't the strong Ryanair. This race used to be the Paris Gold Cup. That we kind of expect, but I think it was a good performance that he put up in winning it, and he's a horse who might just be under the radar a little bit. He might be a little bit underrated. I think he's definitely a highly talented horse, and for sure for the Wileys, like the luck they've had at Cheltenham and Aintree, it's just been desperate. So it's good for them to bag a Grade 1. And
to be fair, we probably wouldn't have said this time last year that Album Photo was going to come out and win a Gold Cup subsequently, because we know what happened even at Punchestown. Back when Fairyhouse was earlier, you could run at both the meetings.
Well, exactly,
I know he didn't win because he ran out, but he wouldn't have been in with a chance of winning were the other two in front of him not to come down. So there we go. You're quite right in saying there's a lot of water to go under the bridge between now and the middle of next season. So who knows just how good that horse will turn out to be, particularly when they step out of novice company. One horse I think we can say, as we sum up the Fairyhouse action, looks very, very good, is Honeysuckle. It's such a shame. Well, look, I was going to say it's such a shame we didn't get to see her at Cheltenham, but it's not all about Cheltenham. It's great we got to see what she could do here, and she's one of a few mares in these colours who look very talented. But she's probably the best of them, isn't she?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like for sure, there are a lot, and actually Elfeel, who was second, she's also owned by Ken Alexander. But yeah, again. We still don't know how good Honeysuckle is. We didn't know how good she was going into the race. She'd won her 3 hurdle races. She'd won her only point to point. As you say, she missed Cheltenham, which was a shame. I remember when the news broke that she was going to miss it, there was a real sense of disappointment because she had been so good in the run up to it. But it was only a slight setback. She had a nice break. And in the context of Sunday's race, it was probably a positive that she'd missed Cheltenham and coming here a fresh filly. But she was given a real ride of confidence by Rachel Blackmore. She rode her like the best filly in the race. That's what Henry de Brom had said afterwards. That's the way they were always going to ride her. She was a little bit wide, out of trouble forward. No nothing. No need to bury her or tuck her in or drop her in and ride for luck. And she just came clear. Now, I'd say it was probably her best performance. She had the Donn Run hurdle winner, Eglantine Lesoy, back in third. So, and that was her race at Cheltenham. So, if collateral lines of form, if Eglantine Lesoy put up the same performance, then Honeysuckle has beaten her on merit. So, again, there's she could be anything. And for Rachel Blackmore, I know she had a Grade 1 winner at Cheltenham and Manila Indo and the Albert Bartlett, but to come back to Ireland and have another Grade 1 winner, her first Grade 1 winner in Ireland, that was great. And for Henry de Bromhead as well. But, the filly herself, she could be serious. And, she's very, very, very exciting.
Do you think they'll definitely go down, down the mare's hurdle route? Again, I'm being cautious not to pigeonhole everything into the Cheltenham Festival, but I think in particular with this type of horse, that's the ultimate aim, isn't it? The mare's hurdle in March. Or do you think they'll be keen, perhaps by the trailblazers we saw this year, as far as the two main runners in the Champion Hurdle go? And of course there was Verdana Blue in that field as well. So we had a really good season of 2-mile mares this year. Do you think they'll be tempted to go in against the boys, or they want to see a bit more of her next year? Do you think what she might turn into?
Yeah, why not? Like, she has options. Yeah, of course, the mare's hurdle is there. That's an ideal option for her. It's 2.5 miles as well, and she stays 2.5 miles. So that's, you would think, looking 12 months ahead, please God, that would be a target for her. But she's entered in the 2.5 mile Grade 1 novices hurdle at Punchestown. I doubt she'll run in that now. She'll probably do it. Well, she might do, but it's a quick enough turnaround after a break. So no, I'd say she's got all the she could start off anywhere next year. There's a good program of mares races as well that she can run in. I suppose the Apples Jade route, Happens Grace Hurdle, she ran regularly and runs regularly in that. So that's an option, but that's a massive step up in class. So look, I'm sure Henry de Bromhead will have maybe an intermediate hurdle in mind for her, maybe the Down Royal race at the Down Royal meeting in November, and then move on from there. But she's got all those options, and if she proves to be good enough for the Champion Hurdle, then yeah, why not? It has to be an option.
Yeah, she was really, really impressive. And as you say, it was great for Rachel Blackmore as well. The season that she's had, one time looking as though she might be the champion this year. That's kind of it as far as the jumps action goes. I know we had a good meeting in the UK at Haydock, but I don't think there's necessarily anything we personally want to take out of it. Are you happy jumps wise before we get stuck into the flat, Don?
I'm happy jumps wise until Punchestown,
which isn't far away.
Only a week and a bit. Yeah,
I can't wait. I'm being
You're coming over,
there, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah,
absolutely can't wait.
Have you been there before?
Oh, I have. Yeah, but I haven't been for 3 years. So. Right. Oh no, I was there back when Sprinter Sacra won. I was there for the next couple. I went 4 years in a row, but I've had a couple of years off, so I'm looking forward to going back and behaving myself, which I will. It's dangerous. It's a later start, Don.
It's a later start. Yeah, which gives you more time in the morning as well to get ready and recover.
I'd like to point out I will be working. I mean, I'm not going to get on it all day. I promise I'll be working there. So. Looking forward to that. Let's have a look at
Newmarket. Yeah, go.
Flat action. Yeah. We're going to cast our mind back to Newmarket and the Craven meeting. We'll obviously touch on the main races and also anything else that leapt out at us. But the first horse I want to talk about ran in the Nell Gwyn, and it's Look Around. Look, she was comfortably beaten by Kubala, who I thought looked really, really good. And it's not surprising she's been installed as favourite round about the 5.0 mark for the 1,000 guineas itself. Kubala for Roger Varian. I thought she looked really good. She's one of the last crop of Scat Daddies, which makes her all that bit more exciting. She tanked through the race. Actually, both Look Around and her, they had pretty slow starts, and they sort of both fly-let the start. And then Kubala, she travelled into the race that little bit better. And to me, she's going to have no trouble going up and getting an extra furlong the way she extended away. But I do think that Look Around ran a good race. Now, she looked physically as though she's going to want a bit further. And it might just be that she wasn't quite as athletic going into and coming out of that dip. And it might just be that Newmarket doesn't necessarily play to her strength. She's quite long. She's got a fair bit of size about her compared to the winner. But I was surprised to see her in at around 67.0 now for a Guineas. And look, they might say, look, we were fourth here. Will we definitely go down that route? But Bilston Brook was fourth in the Nell Gwyn last year. And we know what happened with her at Newmarket. I think they will go on to the Guineas. She lost a shoe, Look Around, but I thought she shaped with a lot of promise, Don. She was slowly away. She kept on steadily, and which can be a danger falling into that trap. But she is bred to want a little bit further. For all she's a daughter of Kingman, who are up there as exciting with the Scat Daddy 3-year-olds this year. For all he proved himself as a sire as pretty speedy, precocious 2-year-olds, but every sense that they're just going to go on improving. And I was quite impressed with the way she kept on. So I thought there was just a market overreaction to that run from Look Around. I don't think Connections will have come away and thought, that was disappointing in any way. Sure, you might want to finish a little bit closer, but how far was she beaten ultimately? She was 3.5 lengths behind her, keeping on. I thought it was a good enough run, and she's one, if she turns up at Newmarket, she'd be a silly sort of price, and I wouldn't mind having an hour or two at her. That's Look Around. For all, I was taken with the winner.
Yeah, no, like I agree with you. I had a look at the race again this morning, and she when she came out of the dip, she ran on willingly, didn't she? Like and maybe it's a function of the Andrew Balding noseband. Maybe it makes a horse look a bit more willing than our. But I thought she ran on really well and showed that good attitude. And also Angel's Hideaway, thought she ran like catching race in the race too. Like she was way out the back. And on that day at Newmarket, you didn't want to be too far away from the near rail, nor too far off the pace, as is often the case at Newmarket. And I just thought that she did very well to get as close as she did. She had to switch wide. She was I think she was last early on through the early stage of the race, and then went as far away from the rail as you can, which Rob Havlin had to do in order to get a run. But she finished off her race well as well to get third. So yeah, I think there was a lot going on in the Nell Gwyn outside. But for all that, as you say, for all that, the winner was impressive, and she came from the rear as well, and she was really well supported, wasn't she? She was very strong in the market beforehand, and she did it well. But yeah, I think it's a race that's worth looking at a couple of times in order to determine where they're going to go.
It's not like, I think we agree that we think that any of these fillies in behind are definitely going to reverse form with the winner, and she was really, really impressive. And I agree with Angel's Hideaway as well. I think she raced at the wrong part of the track. Before she got a nice clear run, I thought she wasn't in the right place necessarily. But I couldn't say the price about Kabbalah is an overreaction. I thought it was a really, really dominant, excellent performance, and she deserves to be at the head of that betting. But for me, that price about Look Around, who is 12, 13 times the price now of Kabbalah for a 3.5 length defeat, where she ran with promise, I don't know. I thought there was a little bit too much between them, certainly. But I think we agree. We're both very taken with the winner, Kabbalah. It's an open enough 1,000. And as far as the 2,000 go, well, now we have learned that, Too Darn Hot isn't going to go. We knew that for a couple of weeks ago, I think, given the market move suggesting and the openness of John Gosden saying we're not too confident of getting there. If he's not right, we won't run. And so it seems to be the case. That family, as far as their big race targets go, seem to be a little bit cursed. But there we are. And it also looks as though Andre Fabre isn't going to send over Persian King. So we got a really open race now. Aidan O'Brien with the first couple in the betting now, where it looked as though he wasn't likely to have one at the top of the market for that. We've got the sprinter 10 Sovereigns, who he'll probably get a mile, won't he? But we'll see.
We'll see. That's the thing. We'll see. He's never been beyond 6, which is unusual for a Guineas horse to not have run beyond 6 furlongs during his 2-year-old season. But Aidan O'Brien says there's every chance he's going to get it. So have a go. We'll find out. How
impressed have you been with the two main UK trials we've had in the form of the Greenham and the Craven? Personally, I'd look at the Greenham and say it might have just been, I was a bit more encouraged with some of those performances in there. For all Scardo in the Craven, you couldn't argue with the way he did it. With just his second start, we have no idea how good he might be. And I think Royal Marine disappointed slightly. I'll come to him in a second. But how strong are we looking at the moment? Has anything grabbed you and you've thought, wow, I want to take that forward to Newmarket?
Yeah, like I'm a Mohathar fan. I just worry about the extra furlong. He shows so much pace, and his breeding doesn't scream for much further than 7 furlongs. So look, again, they absolutely have to have a go, and they're right to be hopeful. He's won a Greenham Stakes over 7 on easy-ish ground. He won the Horace Hill last year over 7 on easy ground. And if a horse who wins a juvenile race over 7 furlongs has every chance that they'll get a mile as a 3-year-old. So I think he's an exciting horse. I just would worry about him inside the last 200 yards. And Scardo, I thought Scardo did it well. He probably, I know you're a Royal Marine fan, but he probably had the run of the race, definitely more than Royal Marine had. But often when a horse has the run of the race, they engineer the run of the race. They have the tactical pace to be in the right position, so it's not a fluke. Okay, you have to trust to happenstance a little bit as well, but at the same time, you have to. There is a part of it where you make your own luck through your running style or through your talent, and I think Scardo did that, and I thought he looked good. But yeah, what did you think of Royal Marine?
Well, I am a fan, but I sort of want to use that loosely without. I'm not sit here going.
He's a Godolphin horse, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah, quite right. I'm not sat here saying I'm going to back him around the 21.0 mark for a Guineas, because I think they need to sort his mind out that little bit. I think now, Saib bin Saror said after the race that they may well put a hood on him. Well, they will put a hood on him for the Guineas if they can harness that mind. I think he's a really good horse, but I couldn't have a huge amount of confidence going forward to Newmarket with him. He ran his race back to front. He was keen. He was trapped in behind. He then pulled out wide, and he ran on under not particularly strong urgings, quite rightly, from Christophe Soumillon, given the nature of that race being used as a very much a trial for the Guineas, which I know is their aim with this horse. And I think he's a good horse. I think there's promise, but equally, I'm not gonna leap into backing him unless I think I can see that he's managed to harness that early keenness, which he has shown before. So the hood going on might make him interesting. Point I'm making, I think he's really good, but they've got to be able to sort him out early in his race for him to show that at the end of his race, because otherwise he's not going to allow himself to do it. And just on the green, and going back to that, I still think Urban Icon ran a really good race in behind Muhatha, and 34.0 for a Guineas in what is an open Guineas. He's the horse who I'm probably going to be wanting to have on side for all that. I'll go through it, and we might have a look next week, Don, in the build up to it, and put up a shot for the Guineas. But it's a lovely. We either like a superstar. If you're not going to have that, let's have a nice open contest, and we seem to have that.
Exactly, and it's one or the other, isn't it? Like you either have and 10 Sovereigns could prove to be that superstar, but you have horses, and it's the same in any of these races. If there's a high profile defection from a big race, it's a disappointment, and your initial reaction is that's a real shame. But then at the same time, it makes it more interesting. From I suppose finding out point of view, finding out where the pecking order is behind the big horses miss, and also from a betting point of view. Like when you have a superstar in a race, it generally, it makes it not really a betting medium. But when it's an open race like this year's Guinea 2000 and 1000 Guineas both are, then they're very interesting from a betting perspective. Yeah,
absolutely. About 10 days or so away. I just pick up on your point that you made about the first day, the Tuesday, where you wanted to be, if you could be, making all up the near side rail. I think 3 did that day. And a horse that didn't, but who still won the last race. Now, you might look at the last race as a 10 furlong handicap. It's been won by some good horses in the past, the likes of Wigmore Hall, Main Sequence, and Old Persian. But Solid Stone, I think, is a proper horse. Now, these colours and this trainer have gone down the handicap route with or the sort of slow burner route with good horses in the past. King George winner, Poet's Word being a prime example. He was beaten on handicap debut, where I was absolutely assured he was the best bet in the world at Epsom a few years ago. He probably was.
He was,
but sure. he wasn't to be. But I think there's a chance we will look at Solid Stone winning a handicap of 85, 9-4 favourite, and think he should have been 4-9. I think he's a really, really good horse in the making. He won easier than the winning distance suggested, I thought. He made his challenge off the pace, for all it wasn't a big field, off that rail as well. The second actually shot up that rail. He just came from just in behind, but I think he had the better trip on that track at the time. I think he's really good. I was really taken with him, and I don't know what they'll do with him next. I mean, he can't go up a huge amount for that, so he might be showing up in a handicap of 90, but he's a pattern company performer in the making, to my eye. Solid Stone.
It was a big step up in trip for him, wasn't it? Like, it was only over 7 furlongs last year, so to go over 1.2 miles, it was a big step up. He's by Shamardal, so I heard Michael Stout talking afterwards. He said he probably wouldn't get much more than 1.2 miles. So what do you like? Because I agree with you. Like he did a lot of running. I thought, like he came under pressure early enough, but he had that and with Ryan Murray, you just they've got plenty left when he starts just to niggle along. And he gave him a lovely ride just to get there and just to do what he had to do. But he seemed to stay the 10 furlongs very well, to my mind. I mean, looking at the race visually, how else would you look at a race except visually?
That's brilliant.
Visually,
I love that.
If you didn't know anything about it, you'd think he might get further than 10 furlongs, wouldn't you? But, it takes something. But so Michael Stout, he obviously knows the horse intimately, and he seemed to think that 10 furlongs might be his trip more than.
Well, yeah. So when he ran at Newbury and in the race won by Charlie Fellow's horse, who's come out and looks a Derby horse now this year, and I sort of heard off the back of that, how well he was regarded, and look, he didn't win on debuts. It's Michael Stout horse, no big deal. But I then immediately thought back to Saeed Sahel and Sir Michael Stout and Poet's Word, and remember his 3-year-old campaign. I thought he was their Irish Derby horse, so I sort of had this horse in mind for that. I don't think that's going to happen. If he wants to say at 10 furlongs, fine. But I think the point is, you've got the option to learn more in handicaps off the mark he's going to be running off before you go on and chuck him up into Pattern Company. So I'm not sure where. I think, say, like a Royal Ascot, a group race might just be that little bit too soon. He's probably a horse for his 4-year-old campaign, which a lot of them are. But he'll be winning again this year, I'm sure of it. I think he's really good. Decrypt Donn, one of the horses that we wanted to talk about, who won on his first start this season, having run twice last year. Talking of Guineas horses, well, this could be an Irish Guineas horse for Paddy Toomey. I thought he was really impressive.
He was very, very impressive. Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned him as well. Like, he just travelled so well through his race. He picked up. You could have called him as the most likely winner from a long, long way out. He picked up. He went clear. Billy Lee, just as soon as he squeezed him at all, he just went clear of his field. He won with tons in hand. The time was fine; it wasn't outstanding, but he just seemed to win with tons in hand. And yeah, like, again, the fact that Paddy Toomey's entered him in an Irish Guineas before he gone out of maiden company, that's significant. And yeah, look, he's just a very, very likable horse who could go on to be anything. He's that 7 furlongs. He should get a mile for all that he is. He is kind of. He's kind of sprint-ish bred, but he raced like. I
wanted to mention that because I was covering the race for Racing TV in our studio, and I was looking at that pedigree before he ran, and you thought, he's got that Irish Guineas entry. I wonder, and they didn't go that quick early on. His turn of foot was electric, but the way he saw it out, I thought he'll definitely get a mile. But then you look at that pedigree, he's by a sprinter. He's got his. I think his dam was a pretty precocious sprint winner, a 2-year-old sprint winner, and he just looks on pedigree on the page. You wouldn't want to chuck him beyond 7 furlongs necessarily. So, but look, I wonder they'll run him in an Irish Guineas, and he's clearly very talented. And look, if he doesn't get home, you've got the option of coming back now with these 3-year-olds, coming back possibly to a sprintship. I don't know. I was really taken with his turn of foot there.
Yeah, no, exactly, but and also the way he travelled, and like, and it wasn't a bad race, and he just travelled so easily, and you could pinpoint him from a fair way out, couldn't you? Like, he stood out from even before the turn for home. Yeah, like, I take your point on his turn of foot, and of course he's got buckets of options. He could if he didn't get home in the Irish Guineas, you could probably go back to the Jersey Stakes, maybe something like that, and kick on from there. But it looks like the Irish Guineas is the plan, and absolutely, again, no more than the likes of Mohatha or 10 Sovereigns. We don't know, they won't get a mile. And he finished off his race, as you said, that the last day as if he would get a mile, as if he definitely get further than 7.
Oh, absolutely, he's 100% right to go and try that Irish Guineas route based upon what he did the other day. Thought he was as far as the Saturday flat performances go, I thought he was the most impressive winner. I thought he was brilliant. But I do think this one last horse I wanted to mention, Austrian School, was very, very good. He ran as a son of Teofilo as a 3-year-old last year 11 times. Such is the way that his trainer approaches it, and you wouldn't argue with that whatsoever. But he was always likely to come into his own this year. He absolutely bolted in the Queen's Cup at Musselburgh. I think he is a proper horse, and I think he can develop into a Pattern Company performer. Now the thing is, his trainer mentioned he sees him as an Ebor horse, but that depends on what happens off his current mark, because he's going to go right up. He was early hundreds. He could go up £8 easy for that performance. So look, he's not going to be getting into these handicaps lightly. The Chester Cup's obvious because he'll have a £3 penalty, so he's almost certain to be well in for that. And Mark Johnson will probably run 400 or 500 in that contest, so he'd likely be one of them, you'd imagine. But he's got so many of those types of horses. He had 4 in the Queen's Cup on Saturday, but I thought he was really good. And he's a half brother to a dual Grand National winner, Tiger Roll.
As a devil's advocate exponent, he did have a lot in his favour on Saturday, didn't he? Like, he had the run of the race. They didn't go a great gallop, and he was up on the pace, and he was strong in the market beforehand. He was well, as Mark Johnson's horses don't run not fit, but he was well fancied for the race. For all of that, he was seriously impressive with winning it. Yeah.
Yeah, I take your point. He came out of 13, which didn't look ideal, but how it panned out with a lot of pace on his inside, he just slotted in and he got a lovely track position. It's more, I think, if he shows up through, under a £3 penalty for the Chester Cup, depending on where he comes out of,
he'll be 7-4 favourite as long as he gets drawn close enough to the rail.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right,
I think he'll go up a fair bit. For all, like he was looking exposed last year, and we had a chat about this race beforehand. He wasn't winning last year as often as he should. He had lots of 2s and 3s, or he has lots of 2s and 3s in front of him. But there's nothing ungenuine about him. It's just the way it panned out. He just met 1 or 2 that were better than him on the days. But that was probably a career best on Saturday, I'd say, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that pedigree as well. He's just the type that he was never going to be at his best as a 3-year-old, and this year I think is the season where he could just kick on and be very, very good. Good stuff. Got everything off your chest?
Yeah, yeah, everything off my chest. All done. Yeah, good.
Good. Me too. I'm happy.
Yeah, no, it's been a good week. It's been an interesting week. Plenty going on, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. When you got Irish nationals and all the flat action we've seen, so this coming weekend is the last of the dual codes. Oh no, you've got Punchestown after that.
Well, that's not dual code either.
No, it's not. I just mean where we're going to be analysing both codes. Right. But I enjoy it.
So we got the last day of Punchestown is Guinea's Day at Newmarket, which is we're back to your Easter predicament. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Donn, great stuff. Really enjoyed that. Chat to you again next week, and hopefully you tune in then as well for our Matchbook Racing review. Nice to see you this week. All the best. Bye bye.